So what is the legacy project? And actually, before I start, just to warn you, I do have a bit of a cold. So if I am coughing, don't be too alarmed. I don't think I have COVID or anything. Or so I wish I don't. Um, so please bear with me if you hear me sniff or anything like that. So Abdullah mentioned the legacy project. What is the legacy project? So I don't know how many of you guys have been following us on social media. Around 2 months ago, probably around June, July time, we ran a campaign to raise money for charity, mainly for orphans. And it was absolutely crazy, the kind of response we got from the community around us, a lot of our networks. We raised over £5,000. Now, we got together at this point and we thought the power that we have when we come together as a community, the network that we have, just a few of us who knew each other, a few of us who are at university right now, we can create something and we can do something for the community, our community. So this is where the Legacy Project really came about. So we came up with a plan, a kind of three stages plan, or a kind of 3-topic plan, of how we want to help and give back to the community. Essentially, our motto is to instill excellence in the next generation of leaders. So this is basically you guys, or anyone that comes through anyone that comes through our system, anyone that gets any help from us, we want to be there for you in 3 aspects. So the first is academic. So academic is things like this: personal statement advice, check it out if it's interview advice, if it's info year 12 providing workshops. With medicine, we did specific things for entry exams. For here, we're going to talk about TSA and the other exams. So things like that, as well as visiting schools. So we already have a few secondary schools who have come to us and asked us to come visit them, and a few community centers, to just speak to the kids about career advice and how to progress into a career that they want to do. The second aspect is the mental aspect of things. Now, it's a very difficult time, being at home for around 4 or 5 months, being in quarantine, going outside only for necessity. It's very difficult, and it can have a strain on you, and a strain on our well-being, especially being a student where you have A-levels, and we know what happened with the A-level results. It was like an absolute roller coaster for some people. Um, keeping a healthy mental well-being and taking care of your well-being is very, very important to us, and we believe we should try and provide some help with that. So what we have coming up is around in September time, we have a workshop where um, we've collaborated with a organization called the Afia Project, and they work with youth and in mental health, with trained professionals, and we'll be running a workshop. So keep updated for that. Follow us on our social media. Finally, we have soft skills. So we understand a lot of us have gone to university. We have the academics, we're textbook smart, things like that. But we've realized once you go to university, the difference between me or some of us coming from a disadvantaged background and people that have come from an advantaged background is that it's soft skills, essentially. Once you go into university, academics is not enough. And you guys will realize this, especially for the humanities. You need to be very good, especially if you want to get a job as a lawyer or as a banker or anything like this. You need to be very good at public speaking. You need to be good at negotiating. You need to be good at just networking and things like this. You'd realize how important it is. And unfortunately, from what I've realized from a lot of the people that I've mentored or spoken to, this isn't really taught that well. So we really want to focus on this, hopefully in the future somewhere, just teaching you guys how to improve in soft skills and things like this. So essentially we are, you could say, a social mobility organization, but you're probably wondering, how do we differ from other organizations? We actually want to work with these organizations and kind of provide all of these steps, provide all this information for you guys, and be there for you from stage 1 all the way up to when you make it, through that whole process. We want to provide a mentor who has been through the kind of struggles that you've probably gone through or have, or anything similar to that, and help you through every step by providing information. And something like information is very, very useful. I, for one, have benefited from mentors who have helped me all the way from secondary to primary, college, and even now at university. And it's really important to have someone who's been there and done it and knows the struggles that you're facing, so that they can help you overcome these struggles as well. And of course, yeah, so I just like to hand it back over to Raja, and I'll see you guys later on in the presentation, hopefully.
Thank you very much, Rehan, for that very quick insight into the TLP. We really do look forward to the type of works that we will be doing at a later stage. If I could just really ask Razana to move on to the next slide. Next slide, please. So now, before we just begin the seminar, I'll do one quick final thing. I wanted to introduce everyone and everyone who's going to be talking today, just so you guys know who we are. Just so you guys know, if you ever need anything, you can come to us by contacting our email, etc. And we'll be there to help you. So just to give you that insight, my name is Abdullah, as I mentioned. Everyone calls me Raja, however. So whatever you guys want to call me, it's perfectly fine. So I'm studying at LSE and I'm doing politics and economics. I'll pass it over to Rehan.
Yeah, so my name is Rehan. I am studying, so I'm going into my third year at LSE. I'm studying philosophy, politics, and economics.
My name is Fazana. I'm going into my second year of law at the University of Cambridge.
My name is Faiza, and I'm also going into my second year of law at SOAS.
And lastly, Mr. Singh, who's been relatively quiet so far.
Yeah, hi guys. So my name is Mr. Singh. I've taught most of these guys politics or history, or some combination of both of them. So I'm not actually part of the Legacy project, but I'm really happy to be helping out and providing some assistance here and there with it.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to pass it over to Faiza, who's going to be starting the presentation for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, 1 second. Fazana, next slide, please. Okay, yeah, so before we start, we want to make sure that you guys are approaching your application with the right mindset. So what I want you guys to do is firstly, to take 2 minutes to think about the answers to the following questions. So the first one is, what is your degree choice? Second one is, what is your motivation behind studying it? And third one is, why have you attended this seminar today? Those of you who have your Mentimeter open should be all of you. The second slide should let you send the answers to those questions. So if you just want to type your answers up on there, and I'll be able to see them. If anyone can't, just send a message on the chat.
I've put in the code for Mentimeter into the chat anyway. So just quickly take 2 minutes, guys. If we just fill in the question on Mentimeter. Yeah, thank you.
Literally, guys, it can be just a short answer, it can be anything. Okay, so some answers here may include your interest in that respective subject. So you may be filling out, you may be choosing that degree choice because whatever subject it is, it interests you. Some people here are saying that career paths, and they're here because they want to get more help in their personal statement. And some are saying that certain subjects have really opened their eyes up to the world and they want to learn more about it. Good. It may also be the income you receive if you pursue a job in that field. It may even be the wishes of your family or your friends or the people close to you, or it might be a degree that you think is best suited to your skills. Yeah, some people are saying that, yeah, so for example, for law, we've got one here that someone wants to help with injustice in the legal system. And again, they're here today for help with their personal statement. Okay, Fazana, next slide, please. Okay, whilst these are good reasons, we want you to think about this again, but think about the impact your degree choice can have on someone else. So some of you have, in speaking about things like you want to pursue law because of you want to help spread justice, things like that. Again, it might be politics because you want to understand the world around you better. From what I'm getting in the answers, it seems like you guys are moving towards those kind of ideologies. So next slide. Yeah, but the reason why we ask you to do this is because at TLP, we advocate the importance of a purpose beyond just your interest and income. So whilst interest and income are often reasons as to why someone may choose a certain path, it's important to have a reason beyond this as well. And more often than not, this is usually an altruistic purpose. And this purpose often serves as a larger source of motivation. Next slide, please. Now, to explain that further, let me give the example of TLP, for example. So our purpose, our apparent purpose, is obviously to provide support for anyone who's applying to universities, and that includes interviews, entrance exams, things like that. Help you to get into the best universities, so Russell Group and Oxford universities. And our motivation behind that is that, you know, we want to provide opportunities for people who come from underprivileged backgrounds that you may otherwise not receive because you're from one of those backgrounds. But why? The reason why is because you should have the opportunity to serve a greater purpose, to benefit not only yourself, but those around you as well. That, for example, let's say you're in university and like it's hard, it's difficult, and you've chosen to do medicine, for example. And at one point in like second year, third year, you think, you know what, it's not for me, I'm going to give up. You as an individual might be okay with giving up, but once you bring that third party into it, you might think, hang on a minute, me giving up means that so and so doesn't receive that benefit. So because you're thinking about that third party and that third person, it's a larger source of motivation, and you think, you know what, I'm going to keep going with that. And then I think if Rehan's here, we also have, he has this vision called the Ikigai vision, which he'll explain.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Faisal. Yeah. So hi guys, I'm back. So this is, so just adding on to what Faisal said. I know a lot of people. When I was your age, I was quite confused. Like I wanted to do a degree, but I didn't know why I wanted to do the degree. I didn't know what degree I wanted to do for a certain career. So this is something which I've used to try and focus my mind towards a certain goal or objective. Feel free to use this diagram. It's very helpful to a lot of people. Other people don't find it helpful. But please just bear with me 5 minutes, 10 minutes while I just explain this. Trust me, it has the potential to change your life, or you change your outlook on how you see things, as it did to myself. So I know it looks a bit confusing. I don't know if you guys can see it properly. It's a bit blurry on my computer. But so essentially it's a Venn diagram with 4 different aspects to it. Now, the question is what are we all chasing as human beings? And it might get a bit philosophical. And just think about this for yourself. What are you chasing? What are we chasing? So for me, it will be happiness. And this is what I think generally a lot of people chase for happiness, or looking for a happy life or a content life. Now, various different theories exist with regards to how we can have a happy life. Some people say money leads to a happy life. Other people say money is just a proxy to a happy life. Other people say you don't even need money. Other people say family, friends, things like that. This is one idea. This is one paradigm that exists, and it's a Japanese philosophy that's been running for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's called Ikigai, which roughly translates as reason for being. So according to this philosophy, to be happy, to be content, is to have a reason for being, right? So now the question is, how do I choose something which gives me a reason for being? Now we have 4 different circles here, and we'll start at the first circle. So the first one is something that you love. So this is the green one, by the way. This doesn't need as much explanation. So something you love is when you're engaging in that activity, let it be music, singing, watching Netflix, or something like that. You feel you're in a state of bliss. Or I think technically they call it a flow state, where you're in such a state that all the worries or all temporary worries are gone in general, and you feel really content. And all of us have different types of interests and things that we like, and I'm pretty sure you guys all know, if you guys made a list of things that you love, you can probably make a list of that. The second one, when we move on to the yellow circle over there, sorry, that was a yellow circle I started at. If we move on to the green circle now, something that you're actually good at. So a lot of questions that people have, especially people that are confused with what they want to do, is they genuinely don't understand what they're good at when they're choosing a career path. I think the reason for this is people have a warped understanding of what it means to be good at something. To be good at something doesn't technically mean you need to be like a genius in it, or you need to be like the best in, say, mathematics or something like that. To be good at it means when you learn a certain subject, you can learn it, and when it comes to difficult concepts, you can just about get it. Whereas when you compare it to another subject, so let's use music for an example, music versus mathematics. So there's some people who may be very, very good when it comes to learning how to play the violin. So they pick up certain concepts easily. Whereas when it comes to mathematics and abstract concepts, they just find it really difficult. But that doesn't mean you're an expert violin player, but it means you're good at understanding it and you're good at learning it. So that would mean that that's something that you're good at. This is important, and we'll get onto that maybe. Yeah, we'll get onto that, but it's important later on when you understand what to do in life. The third section is what the world needs. Now, don't misunderstand me when I say this, but a lot of people assume what the world needs mean I'm telling you guys to change the world. Not exactly. Changing the world can be very, very small. It can be from a communal level, or it can be on a macro level. I mean, it can even be on a mid-tier level, even a very family level, just changing the people in your immediate surroundings. Now, back in the days, I don't know how many people have lived in a kind of village environment, but when I go back home, Bangladesh, we live in a kind of village. So if you cannot relate to this example, it'll be better. But in these kind of environments, village environments, everyone knows everyone else, or everyone knows someone who knows someone. Like there's a great feeling of connectedness there. Now, when it comes to working within that community, everything that they do, whether it be fishing or selling fish or crafts or clothing or anything like this, um, they can see the output and they can see the kind of positive effect that they're having based on what they're doing. Or the output is definitely something that's tangible, something that they can see in real time. Now, fast forward, obviously, a few hundred years, you have big cities, London, mega cities, things like this. And a lot of jobs have, unfortunately, become very compartmentalized. So the work that you do, the output that you do, you don't necessarily see it. And a lot of people that I speak to, so one of my friends is an investment banker, and when I tell you, every time I meet him, he's stressed. And I say him, what's wrong? He's like, I'm just sad. And really, one of the reasons that he tells me is because I'm doing it, but I don't see the effect of what I'm doing. It's just very minute. It's very, very small. So when you think about a profession, another thing you need to look at is what the world needs, in the sense that what I do, will I be able to see a tangible impact in the world, or the world around me, or the community around me? So what we're doing here at the TOP is we want to make it, even if it's a small impact with the 10 of you guys here in this seminar, or seeing students just see their faces bright up, or see them, very thankful, or see them pursue a certain career. I think the best example actually is teachers. So teachers, if you ask a lot of teachers why they're doing what they're doing, is because they really like inspiring people and inspiring students. I think like Mr. Singh here, who actually taught every single one of us in this, people that are running the TOP. I'm sure I'm not just speaking for myself, but he inspired us to do a lot of things that we're doing right now. And he instilled a lot of that within us, right? So that's something which is tangible in output. And lastly, it's what you can be paid for. This is obviously self-explanatory. We all have needs. We all have, I really wouldn't recommend. Some people follow a mode of happiness, which is to essentially become like hermits or monks. I wouldn't recommend that. I have met people that try and do that, but for 99.9% of people, it doesn't work. You need a roof over your head, basically essentials. You need to live a comfortable life. If you have family, friends, parents, things like that, you need to look for things around that. Yeah. Now we have the subsections, okay? And I know I've been going on for a while. Just give me a few more minutes, sorry. So now you have a passion, right? So let's say you like something and you're good at something. That is what they'd call a passion. So you have a passion for music, you have a passion for singing, you have a passion for arts, but you're still not happy. So what's stopping you from making that your reason for being is because either the world doesn't really need it, or there's no demand for it, or you don't get paid enough for it. That's why you can't do it full time. Now, the good thing about this diagram is you can pinpoint exactly where you are right now on this scale and how to center towards or gravitate towards the middle. So if you have a passion and you can't figure out how to move, a good way to do that would be to kind of bring yourself out there, learn how can I increase demand, how can I get my skill out there, how can I monetize this skill that I have, how can I make money out of that. Secondly, you have a mission, so something you love, something the world needs, but you're not getting paid for it, and you don't really, you're not really that good at it. You could say this is amateur bloggers or things like that. What you need to do in this situation is really market your skills and really hone your skills and make sure you're really good at what you're doing. So if it's something like writing blogs or being an amateur footballer, what can you do to become better at that? And what can you do to get paid for that? And then you have vocation. Vocation is a hard one. I haven't found many examples for this, but online I can see an example used is professors. So quite a few professors, or even a minority of professors, the world definitely needs them. Students definitely need them. They get paid a handsome amount for that, but they don't. Not all professors actually like doing what they're doing. I remember when I was in LSE, was doing a maths module. One of my teachers, I asked him. He was one of the most depressing teachers I've ever had. And I just asked him, "Do you not like doing what you're doing?" And he said he absolutely hates it. And if I looked at the homework that we have 10 years ago, it's the exact same homework 10 years ago than it is today. So if you're in this kind of position where it's a job like this, you really need to challenge yourself. You really need to make work a challenge so that every day is new for you or things like that. Or if it doesn't work for you, maybe try find a different vocation, a different job that allows you to do that. Finally, you have profession. Profession is where majority of people are right now. So they have a job purely because they're good at it and they get paid for it, but they're still not happy. And majority of people that tell you they're not happy with where they are right now are probably in this little circle over here. Now, why is that? It's because they haven't thought about the bigger picture. I understand once you're in college and whatnot, they teach you, or a lot of schools teach you, you need to get a good job and that's it. And the buck stops there. What I would really recommend is a philosophy that looks at the big picture. You really need to look at this job. Okay, how will I impact people? Do I even like doing this job myself? If I don't like doing it, is there an alternative way that I can pursue this job or pursue this certain cause or something like that? An example used, I was speaking to a lawyer at a White case. So he studied at Oxford and he did law at Oxford. And I told him, if there's one thing that you regretted being at Oxford, being a lawyer and your journey to becoming a lawyer, what would that be? And his answer was, my biggest regret is actually doing law as a degree. And I thought that was quite weird. I asked him, why is that? And he said, because it was such a difficult degree. He spent 3 years of his life struggling, doing so much work while his friends were really chilling. His friends that were doing other subjects at Oxford. So he said if he could, he would personally want to go back and do a different degree and he could still make it to law through an alternative career. So you need to think about things like that. Similarly, another family friend of mine, he decided to go into law, but he didn't want to do law. He did Spanish instead. Now, obviously, this has caveats to it. Like if you don't do a non-law degree, you have to study extra years, or it presupposes that you do a non-law degree at a really good university. But the example here, or the main point here, is that there's not always just one way to get to what you want to do. There's always different ways. Like I have a certain idea of why I studied PPE, or I do want to go into corporate, but not corporate long time. And I have a plan A, I have a plan B. I have that sketched about, and I use this diagram quite a lot when it comes to sketching these plans. So this is where we want to be. We want to go into Ikigai, which is the intersection between the four sections. If you guys have any questions, by the way, feel free to email our admin at legacyproject.co.uk. I don't want to spend too long. I understand I'm waffling a bit, so sorry for going over time. But definitely, if you guys have questions, if you disagree with this model, message me. Let me know why do you disagree with it. I'd love to have a conversation with regards to that. If you need extra help, things like that. But I'd really recommend take a picture of this and really put maybe 10, 15 minutes of your time. Just map yourself on this. Yeah, so I'll just pass it back to Raja for now.
Perfect. Thank you, Rehan. If you could go on to the next slide, please.